Hi there, this is The Advantage Podcast. We're hacking the art and neuroscience of expert leadership so that you can unstuck your true potential in life and work. I'm Dr. John Kay, I'm your host, and welcome to this episode. Journaling for success. It's what great leaders do. Have you noticed that all the famous, admired leaders write an autobiography or a book about leadership? Amazing how they seem to recall those hundreds of stories in so much specific detail. Or perhaps it's not amazing, but a simple case of keeping a journal. What is interesting is that leaders who keep a journal are vastly more likely to be admired leaders than those who do not keep a journal. And the latter, they aren't even famous. The purpose of this guide is because you only learn when you review and reflect on your failures and successes. Journaling is the single most powerful, easiest means of ensuring that you develop your leadership daily. You'll learn what happens inside your brain when you review or reflect on something that occurs and how you can use this hack successfully to assist your own learning and development. At the end, there's a template for you to put this hack into practice in your life. And after just a few days of keeping your journal, you will quickly begin to change unwanted behaviours and reinforce those that you wish to keep. Discipline and continuing will be hugely beneficial. Why journal? Well, so maybe you don't want to be famous, but I'm pretty certain that you would like to be admired. Then write a journal. In my coaching practice, those leaders who keep a journal of their leadership journey accelerate their careers between 5 and 10 times those who resist journal keeping. After 5 years, they earn 8 times as much. They have typically climbed 3 seniority levels. They have happier, more stable marriages. Their children score better in tests and exams. They also feel less stressed. Now, we have been unable to causally link journal keeping with success, but the correlation is a little too powerful to ignore. What then if you do ignore this advice? Let me remind you of a quote from Dr. John C. Maxwell. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. You're going to have to put some work in. How often have you smacked yourself on the forehead with a duh as you realise that you already knew the answer to something, or that there was a better way to do what you just did? Whether you smack yourself literally or metaphorically, but I'm guessing that it's more than once or twice. Your brain is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it starts to atrophy and waste away. And just like a muscle, you use it more and it grows and develops. When you deliberately learn and repeat things, your brain remembers more and recalls information more easily. If you don't journal, you're not reviewing and reflecting on what happens in your life. So only those memories that are most highly charged emotionally, good or bad, are most readily accessed and recalled, whether they are appropriate or not. And your behaviour is likely to default to whatever you got away with last time. Maybe that is the best thing to do. Only you will know that. Let's have a little peek inside your brain of what happens when you journal. There's a fabulous connection between writing and your retention of information. In large part, it appears that when we write, we are drawing words on paper that must engage our thinking brain, memory, emotions, and physical motor skills. It's a whole brain activity. It's a demanding activity on the brain, and one that requires focus. It's nigh on impossible to write and do something different at the same time. It's why texting and driving is so deadly. Focus is demanding, but it's also very useful for deliberate learning. When we write a journal, we're deliberately seeking instances in memory and translating them into a coherent, sense-making scenario or story. That is, we are reflecting on what happened, why and with whom, and making sense of it. We also review what was good and what was not so good about that activity, which attaches emotions to the memory. And writing promotes comprehension and retention of information. Meantime, as we reflect, review and write, we are repeating a revised version of the events and attaching the emotions to that event in memory terms. The more powerful the emotions, the more readily that memory will be available to us in the future. When we learn something, synapses fire and make connections in the brain. By repeating those same connection-making processes, we make those connections stronger. Our neurons grow and adapt and change and make access to repeated memories and more emotionally charged memories with the strongest connections, which makes them readily accessible. In short, journaling is a process of being deliberately mindful in a reflection of recent events, making sense of them, and considering alternative courses of action for improvement. The process of journaling is helping you remember significance from otherwise mundane matters and drawing out lessons from your experience fresh in your life and mind. All of which makes you better at remembering when you need to remember and being able to quickly consider alternative courses of action to apply to current or future situations and choose the best available option. So my advice, start keeping a journal today. And this is how. What's better today is both the singular most powerful thing you can do to change your own life and a whole lot of fun you can have with other people. When you are asked to review your own performance, it's more than 85% likely that you will focus on the negative aspects. You are well aware of the things that you do less than well. If I asked you about what happened this week, you could easily regale all the negative things about work, your boss, your staff, your life. But what did you do this week that was good? The world is filled with bad news. Things are not going as well as they could, whether it's the economy, a scandal, a pandemic, a disaster. Good news rarely hits the headlines. In the same way, criticising ourselves is easy. Edifying, building up ourselves truthfully is more difficult. And it's important that you are truthful to yourself. This is not that great a work of fiction you create when you apply for a new job. It's the things in your life that are better today than they were yesterday. So, what's better today? Tell me 3 things that are better today than they were yesterday for you. Are you struggling? Yeah, most people do. And I wish you could see your face as you tried to answer it. So try this instead. ask yourself 2 questions. What did you learn today or yesterday? This is appropriate. What did you learn? And what did you enjoy? See, now you're getting somewhere. Simply use what's better today as shorthand for these 2 questions. If you'd like to have some fun with it, the next person you meet today, ask them, what's better today? See, it's common practice to greet people with variations of how are you? Most of the time you'll hear, okay, oh good, thanks. Occasionally you get an organ recital, well my legs have been playing up, my back is aching, my tummy was upset, I had a headache. Did you really want to know? Yeah. See, there are many people you know who readily snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Instead, greet everyone with what's better today. Watch the response. Encourage them with the 2 questions if needed. What did you learn yesterday and what did you enjoy yesterday? Keep doing it. People around you will look forward to seeing you. You'll light up the room when you walk in. People will be drawn to you as a positive light in an otherwise dark world. And you'll feel good. You will be one of the few people who is always snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. A journal is simply a self-review. On a daily basis, ask yourself what's better today. Note down 3 things or more that you enjoyed or learned, or things you did to change, and 1 thing you want to improve, and overall what you're doing well. Write it down, speak it to yourself. You are giving yourself a feedback sandwich, nourishment for your learning and growth. Write it down in your journal daily. Go through it once a week, then once a month, then once a quarter, then once a year. And when you do this, and as you write your journal, you become a little freer with it. Keep actionable notes. That's A-C-T, actionable. A is something to apply. Put a note against it, something you want to apply or continuing applying in your life. C, change, something you want to change. T, something you want to teach or should teach others. This will reaffirm your learning and growth and show you when and how things actually changed for you. Then you can teach others what you did for them to learn and grow. Maybe even write your memoirs. If you take nothing else from my coaching, please take this. Test it out this week. Just 1 week. See what happens. The journal template is simple and straightforward. What's better today, your journal template? What 3 or more specific things that I have done well? What have I learned? What have I enjoyed? Remember those 2 questions? What is 1 thing? How many things? 1 thing I could do that would have the greatest effect on my performance now, the greatest improvement. What is the 1 thing I could do better? And overall, what am I doing well? You can go to the show notes. You've got all of this available to you. The What's Better Today feedback sandwich template is available for you to download and use. I've got some links to some terrific articles that help you understand even more about how we learn, what happens in the brain, what happens about writing, why writing improves your brain, improves muscle memory, and so on and so forth. But just please do remember, there's only 1 thing you need to do, and it's possibly the only thing you ever need to do to improve your leadership, and that is keep a journal. Every day, yeah, and if you don't keep it every day, that's okay, it's your journal. You can catch up or you can skip a day, It's entirely up to you. But what I would recommend is that you endeavour to every day on a regular basis, morning, afternoon, evening, doesn't matter. Ask yourself, what's better today? What 3 specific things have I done better today than I did yesterday? What's one thing I would do to improve? And overall, what's going well? Ask other people the same question and teach this to others. Share this with others. It is the single most powerful thing anybody can do to be a better leader and make their mark. Be greatly blessed, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Advantage podcast. I've been your host, Dr. John Kay. Do get in touch at leadershipadvantage.com. Bye for now and be greatly blessed.